What's up, guys? Matt right here for TheLines.com, joined by the guys that I am thankful for here on Thanksgiving, Steven Andrus and Adam Candy. You follow them on Twitter machine if you want to, at Steven Andrus1, at Adam Candy, 2 E's, no I, if you want to follow me, Matt Brown, M2. Let's talk the New York Football Giants and the Dallas Cowboys. This is Adam Candy's team, the New York Football Giants. That being said, Adam, my big problem with this one, and this spread has ballooned up to 9.5 or 10 in favor of the Cowboys. This total sitting about 45.5. And it's just the Giants lost 6 players last week in this game, including two cornerbacks. Their number one wide receiver, who, by the way, had to step in and just be the de facto number one wide receiver because of the way that the injuries have already played out at the position, lose an offensive lineman. And it's a short week. And I just... look, you guys know I've been beating the drum for the Giants over and over and over again. This has been a team that I backed week after week. I think this number is appropriate. And I honestly, if you're being honest with me, like I think the Cowboys could get outside of this number. Like I would not be taking the points with the Giants in this one if I had to bet it. I don't have this one in the account currently, but listen, it's Thanksgiving. It's a one of 3 standalone games. I'm probably going to have a little action in this thing. And if that's the case, I think I got to bet the Cowboys to get outside of the number here because the Giants just absolutely beaten up. And with this being a short week, I expect Brian Daboll to play this pretty safe, pretty close to the vest and understand, hey, look, this is probably not a game we're going to win. We need to try to get as healthy as we can and for these games that are coming up in a little while.
So you mentioned the injuries for the Giants, and I think it's important to understand where the injuries are and how that relates to the Dallas Cowboys. First of all, Wan'Dale Robinson was the guy that you mentioned who had stepped in as the de facto number one wide receiver, which is something pretty notable when you're talking about a 3rd-round rookie for the New York Giants. That's how bad it's been at receiver. He's done for the year with an ACL. Okay, so now who is Daniel Jones going to throw the ball to? That is a reasonable question. The other injuries, I think, are even more notable when you look at how the first game between these teams played out. Cowboys won the game 23-16. They were in control for most of that game. But most importantly, they sacked Daniel Jones 5 times. And if you remember how that game played out, you recall the fact that Evan Neal got absolutely destroyed in that game, largely by Micah Parsons. And it's not just Evan Neal. On the other side, the guy who has been the best left tackle in football for a lot of the year, Andrew Thomas, is questionable with an illness. So we don't know exactly what that illness is, but it's a short week, which means we have to be a little bit more concerned about whether Andrew Thomas will be able to go. Evan Neal is questionable to be able to go as well, and we know what this Dallas pass rush can do. So take the combination of the fact that Daniel Jones last week threw 2 interceptions. The Cowboys are probably going to be able to get a significant amount of pressure on him. And he doesn't have any receivers who can separate. So if you're thinking about taking the Giants, you are thinking about taking a severely compromised unit in this game. I think the better play if you want to get involved in something is probably a Dallas team total. I have a feeling the Giants, as you mentioned, Matt, are not going to go 100%
no
out
Dory
in this
Jackson.
Game. Yeah, and that was the last injury to get to there was Adoree Jackson getting hurt as a punt returner. God, flashes at Jason Sehorn for those of us who've been Giants fans for a long time. But yeah, everything lines up poorly for the Giants in terms of where the injuries are and how the matchup sets up.
Steven, we take a look, and I mean, it's this Cowboys team, and guys, I did it. I pulled the trigger on Cowboys Super Bowl futures after last week. It was what I wanted to see from this team. I knew the defense was showing up each and every week. What I wanted to see was, could this offense really start to put things together and be more efficient? And what I saw last week was very encouraging, which was Zeke being active, but Pollard being the feature. And that is all I needed to see from this Dallas Cowboys team for me to kind of buy in here that, okay, hey, they might actually be able to do this. And now you got all this stuff where Dak, this isn't even rumors. Like Dak came out and said, I have personally been in touch with Odell. Like I have talked to him on the phone. Like he is actively recruiting Odell to come in there. If they add another playmaker here where Odell doesn't have to be the number 1, he could just be the easy number 2 for this team. I think the Cowboys could be a real handful here. Again, 9.5 would be the number that I would play if I was playing a side here. I think the total's pretty appropriate because I just don't know how much. I think Adams' angle here is the best as a Cowboys team total because I just don't know how much the Giants are going to be able to contribute to this thing. I mean, the Cowboys could play into the high 20s, low 30s, and this Giant offense, I just don't know at this current state on a short week how much they're going to be able to contribute to this total. So that's kind of where I stand with everything.
Yeah, I think that's the angle Eli's looking at here too, with the Giants having a hard time scoring in this one. And if they're going to have any path to staying in this game, Dable's going to have to shorten the game and run the ball well. And there's a chance that they do that with a couple of injuries on the Dallas defensive line, with DeMarcus Lawrence dealing with a foot and their nose tackle, Jonathan Hankins, dealing with an illness. So if they can run the ball and shorten the game and keep Dallas off the field, that also could contribute to an under here. Now, this has been bet up from 43 to 45.5, but I can tell you our lead writer, Eli Hershkovich, has already bet the under here at under 45.5. You can read his reasons why over at the site. But yeah, I think that's the angle I like. And if I'm going to play a side or a total, but going back to what you said about Tony Pollard, Matt, it was like euphoria to finally see that, because this has been like more than 2 years running where they've been trotting out Zeke. Pollard's been better for the past 2+ seasons at this point. And last week finally out-touched him 21-16 in touches. Pollard's had 6 targets in back-to-back weeks, which leads to my favorite bet on the board for this game. It's over 19.5 receiving yards for Tony Pollard. He was a bit unlucky to not get that 2 weeks ago with those 6 targets, but crushed it last week against Minnesota with another 6 targets. So that's the prop I like. And if you want to get a little spicy because it's Thanksgiving and you want to have a little action before the tryptophan kicks in, there's some risk-free same-game parlays out there. You can combine Tony Pollard's 65 rushing yards and 25+ receiving yards at plus 325 over at BetMGM. That's another angle I like here as well.
Adam, last question here for you on this one is, okay, look, if we're a little bit worried about how much the Giants are really going to be able to contribute in this thing, could we play an alt on the Cowboys to try to get us some plus money? I mean, like, could we play Cowboys, minus 12.5, minus, even minus 15.5 or something if they were to get up by 16, like something like that? I mean, do you think, I guess where I'm going with this is, if the Cowboys win this thing, do we really think it's like a 10-point win? Or if they go out and kind of handle a short-handed, short-week Giant team here that is ravaged by injuries and certainly on the offensive side of the ball is going to be super hamstrung, couldn't this kind of get out of hand? Like, couldn't we look at a Cowboys, alt line at some plus money?
Sure, you absolutely could. And I think that's a great piece of advice for people who might not be used to doing such a thing. And I'll give you an example from last week. The Chargers and Chiefs, the number was 5.5 going into Sunday night. It was on its way down. And I just kept looking at it like, I don't like this number. I don't like the total. There's nothing that looked right to me. And I found the alt that I wanted, which turned out to be the right one, which was Chargers plus 3.5. And it was Chargers plus 3.5 at plus 115. Perfect. So now I play a spread that I feel more comfortable with. I get a little bit more value. And your point on the Giants is well taken, because look, last week, we found out last week that if it doesn't all go correctly for the Giants, then all those advanced metrics that say the Giants are not very good are going to be correct. And Daniel Jones throwing 2 interceptions, which he had not done all year until that game, that's what's going to be an example of things going wrong for them. And they were down by 3 scores very quickly, and they couldn't chase it, right? You just mentioned play it to 12.5, whatever it is. The Giants were chasing last week for the entire second half, and the best they could do was get it to 13 against the Lions of all teams. So against the Dallas Cowboys, who are going to be able to get after the quarterback, I like the way you're thinking about that.
And Matt, as we record right now, alt line at BetMGM is plus money on anything Dallas plus 10 or higher.
There we go. So that's how I might even look at playing this one, and probably will get that into my account as well. Guys, everything we do absolutely free here on The Line. So please hit that subscribe button. Go ahead, get in the comment section. What are you playing here in this Thanksgiving matchup? What's your prop of the day? Let us know. And of course, if there's anything we can answer for you, get it in that comment section. And good luck on your bet here on Thanksgiving.